And Indie Hackers at that point was just going to be a blog, like an interview site. But I didn't want to just put it on Medium. I didn't want to just throw up a WordPress site. I wanted to put something up that was distinctive so that when people came and saw it, they might read one interview and then leave. But if they came back and saw a second interview, I wanted them to remember, oh yeah, I've been to this site before.
So now, from the ideation to the launch. So tell us about your launch. How did your launch go? Because you did say that, the moment you launch this, you actually get a lot of traction compared to the other startups, the other things that you have done. What made this so different?
What made it different was honestly kind of what I already talked about, which is the validation checklist I had, and the fact that checklist had a distribution and a launch strategy built into it. Like I worked on this idea and I didn't work on a lot of other ideas because a lot of other ideas, I didn't have any idea how I would possibly grow them. I knew what I would build, I knew who might use it, but I didn't know where to find those people or how to get in front of them. Whereas with this particular idea, after spending so much time on the internet reading these stories, I knew exactly what kinds of places on the internet I could publish Indie Hackers to or promote Indie Hackers to and get readers. I knew where they hung out because I had been hanging out with them for the last 3 days. And so after coming up with the idea, it basically took 3 weeks from idea to launch. I spent 1 day doing planning of sorts. So I was like, what is the name going to be? How's the website going to work? What's it going to look like? How am I going to build it? I decided I wanted to call it Indie Hackers because I thought that if it ever became big, it would be cool to create a whole new term. And if people could use this term, they could associate it with my website. And that would be a really cool thing. I decided I wanted to make my own website from scratch. And Indie Hackers at that point was just going to be a blog, like an interview site. But I didn't want to just put it on Medium. I didn't want to just throw up a WordPress site. I wanted to put something up that was distinctive so that when people came and saw it, they might read one interview and then leave. But if they came back and saw a second interview, I wanted them to remember, oh yeah, I've been to this site before. And if I had just put it up on Medium, they might not remember that it's even the same person publishing it because everything looks the same. So I made it very dark blue, very striking, very different than every other website just because I wanted it to be memorable. And then I decided okay, well, the next step is I just need a lot of people to interview. So all those stories that I just spent 3 days reading, I sent 150 cold emails to these people. It took all 3 weeks as I was typing every email and made it unique. And the gist of every email was hey, you've never heard of me. I'm Courtland Allen. I'm starting this website. I loved the story that you shared, on such and such a website. I really like this part of your story. Would you mind letting me interview you? And people were like, yeah, tell me more. And I would tell them my requirements. I was like, well, you got to share your revenue numbers and you got to share this and that. And almost everybody was like, no way. You're a random person on the internet. I'm not telling you how much money my business makes. I didn't share it in that story for a reason. But there are a few people who were, I guess, if you've ever read the book Crossing the Chasm, the author of that would call them visionaries. These are people who are like, I see where this is going. I see how this could be really big or really cool. And I want to get on the ground floor. I would love for you to interview me. And so at the end of 3 weeks, with 150 emails, I had 10 interviews that I had completed. I had a few more in the works, but I was pretty much ready to go. My website was ready, and it was time to launch. So for launching, I knew that I wanted to launch on Hacker News. That was where the bulk of the stories were. It was the biggest community of indie hackers before they were called indie hackers that I could find online. And I was pretty comfortable with it. I knew how to launch there. I had launched other things there in the past. I knew that my audience was there. And so I emailed all the 10 people who I'd interviewed and I said, hey, it's launch day. It's ready to go. And they're like, great. What do you need from me? And I'm like, I'm going to submit this. You guys can help upload it. I even emailed the moderators on Hacker News and said hey, is it okay if my collaborators in this project help me upload it? I don't want to get flagged as a voting ring. And they're like, oh no, that's fine. We'll make sure it's safe. And so we did. It went to number 1 on Hacker News. It sat there for a whole day. We got something like 100,000 visitors on the website in that first day. And the comments were amazing. People were so excited about it. They were very grateful that someone had built something like this because this is what they had been asking for in the comments of all these discussions that I had read for so many days. And I was blown away too because I'd never built anything that was so successful. And it overall was just a really good launch weekend. On Sunday, that was a Thursday, I think I launched. On Sunday, somebody submitted it to Product Hunt and it was number 1 on Product Hunt as well. I had an email capture form on the homepage. And so I had thousands of people sign up for my newsletter just on that first weekend. And I felt so full of energy, Audrey. I was just raring to go. I couldn't wait. The next week I published 8 interviews. I had so many people emailing me to be interviewed, so I didn't have to send cold emails anymore. And it was unmistakably a far more successful launch than anything I had ever worked on. There were things I had worked on for 6 months or a year and launched that barely made a splash compared to this thing that I had worked on for only 3 weeks.